All right, let me share my screen. So, welcome to the Fall 2021 TxQMC member meeting. I hope that you're doing well. Before we start, I want to remind you that this meeting will be recorded, archived, and available at the Digitex YouTube channel, and the closed captioning during the meeting will be automatically generated by Zoom. So I will share with the Google group either tomorrow or Monday, both the slides and the video, and I think also Zoom will make a transcript. The agenda for today's meeting is short, but we really have a lot packed into each of these items. And we'll be talking about a number of things because we haven't met since January. I have a couple of poll questions and an update from QM. So I'm wondering how everyone is doing. How does fall 2021 compare to fall 2020? And I have a poll for you. And let's see if I can launch this poll. All right. So this question may seem silly, but I'm really curious about how things are going for folks. So can you see the poll here? I'm wondering, is it a piece of cake? Is it equally as rough as last fall? Is it all good? You know, más o menos. Or are you just looking forward to fall 2022 when you hope we will be somewhat closer to normal? That's great. I'm going to end in the poll now. It looks like everybody has responded. All right. So as you can see, nobody said it was a piece of cake. It's equally as rough for some. It's a mix between it's all good and I'm just looking forward to fall 2022. So I'm glad you're here, even though it is still a challenge. We've made a lot of progress, but I know that we're still pushing through. So stop sharing those results. All right. So the Texas Quality Matters Consortium website is getting revamped. For years, we had our own separate website, but now we will have a page on Digitex's website, which will make us easier to find, but all of the same information will be there about TxQMC member benefits, events. There'll be a contact page. It all will be there, and I think it's a good move. It saves us a little money and it allows us easier to maintain it. And one of the things that we want to showcase on this new website is what TxQMC actually does. Heather Walker, our amazing program coordinator, made this great, very short video, which I'm going to play in a minute. Let me know if you can hear it, if you can see it. So I really want to thank Heather and all of her hard work on both this video, but then the revamp of the website. And you can use this video. It'll be right at on the homepage of the TxQMC page of the Digitex website. But you can use this video if there's people at your institution who don't understand what TxQMC does. And we really want to make more resources like this that explain our work and highlight your accomplishments. So if there are specific things about QM or TxQMC that you wish that there was a handy one-page flyer or some kind of infographic explaining, please let me know, and either through an email or you could put it in the chat here. That would really help me understand what we need to put on that website, because it's to provide you guys information. All right. Let's see if I can advance the slide here. Oh. All right, so last month we sent out our TxQMC annual report. This is our opportunity to look at what happened in the previous year and compare that to the current year. So here's a chart listing the number of trainings. Red is last year, blue is this year. And as you can see, in the last year, we had fewer participants in APP QMR after the 2020 rush, but we've had more people taking the peer reviewer course. And I think that's great. That's more people trained to be peer reviewers. I would really like to encourage you to take a look at the Quality Matters Coordinator data dashboard at MyQM to see your institution's activity. And later in the presentation, I'm going to show you where you can find that on the MyQM page. But I think it's a new feature, and it allows you to compare years of data of enrollments and trainings. And I think it's a good resource. As somebody who used to have to just like run reports, download Excel spreadsheets and try and create tables based on that, I've found this really helpful. We are going to have a December webinar where we talk about some of the best practices in quality assurance. And we want to focus on what TxQMC members are doing, because you guys are doing a lot of interesting things. But I want to know what information you're interested in learning about. So let me see if I can launch my second poll. Okay, here we go. So I have, this poll is asking you, what are you interested in finding out regarding TxQMC or QM best practices? Because we want this webinar to address issues. We want to have a couple of different institutions talk about what they're doing, and different people have different interests. And I would really like to know what is interesting to you. And if none of the things on these pages are interesting, or is something that you want to, or if you have a more specific request, please send me an email and let me know, because I think that some like implementation, maybe that's a little bit vague, but I think that there's some people who are wondering. And also I see across the consortium, different institutions implement it differently to meet the needs of their institution. So I am going to end this poll and share the results. All right, so it looks like measuring success. Yeah, I think that's really important. And I think that's something that I would like to focus on more. And so let me take a look at some of the institutions that are doing a great job of that. And I think also that overlaps with the incorporating into grants, because I know that those institutions using QM as part of a grant have to measure the activities of QM. So thank you very much. All right. This is the thing I'm most excited to talk to you about. I've told some of you about it. The TxQMC Advisory Board really helped me with this. So on June 3rd, 2022, which is a Friday, we will have our first ever TxQMC virtual conference. This will be a one-day, 9 to 4 opportunity to connect with each other and share what we're doing with QM and what we want to do at our institutions. It's going to be free for TxQM members. And I know some of you from large institutions have many people involved in TxQMC. So those folks will be free to attend. But we're also going to invite other institutions across the state that are using QM, even if they're not TxQMC members. I think that they have a lot of information, and I think even if they never become TxQMC members, I think that there are resources and ideas and approaches to implementing QM that we could benefit from and that we could talk to them. So in December, we'll release the call for proposals, and we'll invite presentations from anyone who's a TxQMC member or who is a QM member from another institution. But the truth is, we're going to need your help. Digitex and TxQMC we're going to need your help in making this conference a success. And that is everything from submitting a session proposal. So as I said, a call for proposals will come out in December. That'll be open till February. And it'll be a straightforward application process where you tell us who's presenting and what your learning objectives are. But we want to hear what you're doing, how you're innovating to meet the needs of your institution. There's also opportunities for reviewing conference proposals. I'm going to need, 10 people or so to help with this approach. Thanks to the Open Texas Conference that we hosted earlier this year, we have a lot of experience using a platform called EasyChair, which streamlines the proposal review process and allows people to collaborate and review proposals. So even if you are going to submit a proposal, you can still be a reviewer. It's really simple to make sure that you don't review your own proposal. And we'll develop a rubric. And even if you have no experience doing this, although if you're an instructional designer and you're familiar with assessing trainings and courses, you know how to do this. I'd really like to encourage you to sign up to review for as many or as few as you think you have time for. So on the day of the event, there's also help I'm going to need or assistance that you can provide with moderating sessions. We're going to have some networking activities. People will be in chat. You can help me with moderating that. And of course, if you are involved in any of that, I'll provide a training in May to make sure that everybody feels comfortable. Spreading the word, that is something that I'm going to ask you for help in both within your institution and within your networks and the communities that you belong to. And of course, most importantly, attending. That's one of the most important ways that you can support this project, this conference. So if you're interested in helping out, I'd really love it because your voice matters and your involvement in this conference matters. So right now, I'm going to post a link in the chat, if I can. And this, I hope, will go to a questionnaire, a survey that just says, please let me know if you're interested. Now, you're not making, it's just indicating your interest. I'll follow up with you if you indicate that you're interested. You can also just email me and say, hey, I think I would be interested in reviewing some proposals. But I'll follow up with you and give you information. You're not committing to anything right now. You're just expressing your interest. And again, if you can help a little bit, a lot, whatever, it's really going to be key to having a successful event. So I'll stop. Yes, go ahead.
He asked a great question in the chat. He asked if there's going to be a theme and pointed that out that he thinks that if we ask for proposals, a theme could be helpful.
That is a great suggestion. And right now, the theme is we don't have it defined, but maybe what we can do is better define it before we send out the call for proposals. So let me know if you have a suggestion. I'd love to hear it.
I don't have one right this minute, but I was just thinking about before we start asking for proposals and we start receiving a bunch of proposals that may not fit into what the idea for the conference was, it might be helpful to have one. And I could be wrong, but I was just wanted to bring that up.
No, I think that's good. I know that the conferences that I have submitted proposals to, it was helpful to kind of understand how to frame what I was going to talk about. Was it about equity? Was it about
technology?
Yeah, whatever. So so that's great. And maybe we can even give some people a couple of options. Okay, thank you very much, Rudy. Does anybody else have anything, any questions, any suggestions?
The other thing that a couple of people have posted about is they don't have permission to view the form, to open the form.
Oh, no. Okay, what I will do is, you know why? Because it's on Austin Community College, Google Drive, and I always have that issue. Okay, I will give everybody access right after this, and you'll be able to indicate it. But also, please, you can just email me, and that would be helpful. And I will follow up, as I said, tomorrow or Monday with the recording of this, and I'll include a link to that form. Let me make a note. All right. If there's no other questions at this time about that, I will go ahead and move ahead. But just so you know, this will be the big focus for next year, and I'm really excited about it. And I think it'll, and maybe this first one will be virtual. Maybe in the future we have something hybrid, but I think this will be a great start. Okay, now for the information that you might have heard, you might have seen in the Digitex newsletter, QM is going to be raising their fees a little bit starting in January 2022. So, and I want to make it clear that TxQMC, we weren't involved in this decision and we don't receive any of the increased fees. Everything goes to either QM or to the reviewers. And so the first thing that's changing that I think will be a somewhat big impact is technology fees are increasing from $25 to $35 per participant. So any of those APP QMRs, designing your online course, improving your online course, or introducing Intro to QM course that has even if someone from your institution facilitates that training, there is this fee, and it will now in January go up to $35. And I think that if you look on the QM training page, professional development page, it will show register for 2021 or 2022. There's a different options there because there's different prices. This is another one that I know a lot of you are doing QM reviews, and our subscriber managed QM reviews, the ones that someone at your institution is managing, will increase because the reviewer stipends are increasing by $50 each. And I've heard from reviewers saying, yay, we're glad that we're getting paid a little bit more because this is a lot of work. And I appreciate that it is a lot of work. So the reviewer chair will get $300, again, starting January 1st, 2022. The external reviewer will get $200, and the subject matter expert will get $200. the total cost of the review then goes from $550 to $700. And again, typically you tell us when the review is done, and then we pay the reviewers and we invoice your institution. QM wants to make sure that we know that this is the first time in over 10 years that they've raised prices. They thought about doing it last year, but they decided because of everything they wouldn't. So there are other fees that are increasing, but these are the ones that I think will impact our members the most, because these are the ones that our members use the most, both these trainings and the course reviews. But if you're wondering if something else, the price will change, please go to qmqualitymatters.org and look up that training, and you can see if it's going to go up in January. So before I leave this slide, I want to know, are there any questions related to this or any prices?
This is Linda. I had one question. I think our fee right now is $75 if somebody has a participant that takes a course through an online course through another college. Would that go up to 100 or 125?
That's
Do
a
we
good
know? Or
question.
50
No.
to 75? I don't know. I can't remember exactly.
Okay, I'm glad you asked. Yes, so that will go up by $10 to $85, because that $75 fee is $50 goes to the facilitator, and the other 25 is that technology fee that goes directly to QM. And so as they raise that price to 35, then those trainings will now be $10 more. I think that four-year institutions have a slightly different price, but I will update each of you and let you know. But thank you, Linda. I'd forgotten that those two numbers add up to 75, and that's going to go up.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions about this? All right, I'm going to go ahead and advance. And one thing is, I really need to know if there's been a change in the TxQMC contact at your college. Either if it's the billing person or the coordinator, I'd really like to know. If you have a new coordinator, I often like to reach out to that person, especially if they're new to QM or new to the TxQMC, and let them know how it works, how we can support them. But I need to know if somebody new is in that position. And even if it's only an interim position, I know right now hiring is difficult, and sometimes a person steps into a role for a short term, but I still would like to give that person access to resources or understand what they can do. So if you aren't sure who is listed even as on your QMC site, you can either email me and ask, or you can go to my QM. So when you log into my QM, the first thing you'll see is this is at the top of the page, and it offers different, you can access different tools. And then this is an example from our Digitext page. You can go down to on the right-hand side here, it says who your QM coordinators are. And it will list everyone who's listed as a QM coordinator. And some institutions, depending on your size or your setup, have a lot. And I think I know who your main QM coordinator is, but I'm not always sure. And then especially when there's turnover, when someone leaves, as some folks have left this summer, I need to know. And also that allows me to make sure that person is on the Google group, which is really helpful. So before I leave this page, are there any questions about it?
No questions. Ursula, I thought you were going to talk about, I know there was a bullet point that said about something about billing.
Um,
The reason I ask is because we get random invoices from QM that go to, we get invoices from QM that just have random, it goes to random people,
oh, okay.
like
Well,
multiple people. That
right.
I don't know how that happens.
I can communicate with QM and make sure that they know exactly who it needs to go to. So,
Oh, I could do that too.
well, because I am copied on every single invoice that they
Okay.
send to you. And so I know, because yeah, you're right. Sometimes there are like 5 different email addresses that it goes to, and it's not just you. I think that they're concerned about making sure they get to the right people. So, how about I'll after this meeting, I'll look at that most recent invoice and I'll follow up with you and say who should be on this as
Okay.
opposed. So we can do from that. So yeah, and if anybody else is having issues, because I think that there was recently a change in the billing office at QM headquarters, and so that person isn't always sure, I think, about who to invoice. So copies everybody. Thank you for bringing that up, Rudy. Okay, bills. Oh, and I also wanted to point out that this is where you can see the activity on for your institution. So if you look, this QMC data dashboard, this isn't a live link, so I can't click on it, but if you go into my QM and go to your QMC data dashboard, that's where you'll be able to see that data presented as a table, a chart, and then you can export it as an Excel file. You can also just take a screenshot and incorporate that into something. So I think it's a good way to show that activity and measuring success. So that's what I had for you today. And I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me and ask your questions. Are there any questions that weren't addressed?
I don't have any questions, Ursula.
All right, thank you. All right, I'm trying to see if there's anyone else. Yeah, well, I appreciate you taking the time to attend, and I will be sending you lots of information about the conference in June, but please save the date, and I hope that you can come. And I hope that you'll be able to bring some folks from your institution virtually to the conference. And I'm looking forward to all your presentations. And again, this will be transcribed, and I'll share the slides, I'll share the video. So if you have any information, any questions after the event, after this, please let me know. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And thank you all for participating. And I'm gonna, I lost it here. Where is it? With that, I'd like to thank you all for attending, and I hope you have a good Thursday and a good weekend.
Thank you. I hope you guys have a good weekend too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Care.